My computer is not connected to power on that end. Got it.
Gong Ching Da De San Ting Wei Chi Fa Hui Ji Che Zhong Shen Qing Chuang Miao Fa Len Jiao Da Wo Men Ru He Lia Shen Tuo Si Li Ku De Le Su Zhen Wu Shen. Will the Sangha with great virtue, out of compassion, for the sake of this assembly and all living beings, please turn the wonderful Dharma wheel to teach us how to leave suffering and attain bliss and end birth and death and quickly realize non-birth.
Namo tassa bhagavato arahato sammasambuddhassa.
Namo tassa bhagavato arahato sammasambuddhassa.
Homage to the blessed, noble, and perfectly enlightened one.
Homage to the blessed, noble, and perfectly enlightened one.
Namo sadanto suchedoye alahadi samyao samputoshe.
Namo sadanto sujedoye alahadi samyao sambuddhose.
无上甚深微妙法，百千万劫难遭遇。我今见闻得受持，愿切如来真实义。Supreme and wondrous Dharma, subtle and profound, rarely is encountered, even in billions of eons. But now we see and hear it and accept it reverently. May we truly understand the Buddha's actual meaning. 师父上人，各位师兄，大家阿弥陀佛。Venerable Master, Dharma friends, welcome to our Sutra lecture tonight. Is my voice loud enough in the back? Could it be a little louder? Yeah, it's a little soft. I don't know why we have to mess with it every week, but someday we're going to get it right and welded in place. Welcome to the Sutra lecture.
That's better, thank you.
Tonight
is 19th of August. We're moving out Leo into Virgo this week.
We're going
We're
to
going to begin our Sutra lecture this evening by invoking the spiritual presence, inviting the Buddhas and Bodhisattvas of the Flower Garden Sutra Assembly
to draw near,
to
bring their light and shed it on all folks. By the way, we have opened the balcony, so if anybody is more comfortable upstairs with blankets and all, please make your way up to the balcony. We can turn the lights on up there. Namo Tha Phang Quang Pho Yen Ji Yen Hai Hui
And we want to say that
Seems like
we were just here. Isn't it funny? It seems like a week has passed since
you can
you can kind of clock your week by which indigenous tribe we acknowledge. And we want to acknowledge the Trichenyo people who practice their spiritual connections to the earth and to all creation here in what's called East Bay of the Bay Area.
On their
ancestral land for tens of thousands of years, and today we acknowledge them as traditional custodians and original storytellers of these lands. We offer our respects to their elders, past, present, and emerging, all First Nations people whose sovereignty was never ceded.
求
天佑龙的人，在他们的先天土地上修炼了他们与土地和万物精神联系有数万年长的时间。今天我们承认他们是这些土地的传统建物的原始上古时的人，并且向他们过去、现在心性的张望我们表示敬意以及主权所谓被割让的所有异议民族人民们，我们表示敬意。Okay. Bells sound wild resound throughout 100 million worlds. Oh, Dharma is heard and spread all throughout the triple world. The wondrous sound that everywhere fills the Dharma realm with peace. May those who regain the strength to follow in faith the Buddha's path. 众生传向千界内，佛法扬传一不中，共训起法界和平，一报贪后的。
Now, what I predicted actually happened. People continued to back up into the dark part so they can't see past the heads of the person. We have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 empty seats here waiting for you. And they're going, no, I couldn't do that. No, I wouldn't possibly do that. And we also have the balcony. Find a seat somewhere. Keep pushing yourself back into the back, and squished in together. Welcome, everybody, to our Sutra lecture. Glad that you're here, and boy, do we have a lot going on. This is September, and as the nights grow longer and the days grow shorter, people come together with new energy of the autumn. And we're going to be announcing all kinds of activities coming up in the next week or two. We'll get to that as we go. We also have a wonderful song. It's not a new song. It's a fairly new song, which I was reminded of today, and we found it, and it illustrates one of the principles of our sutra tonight. So we'll sing that later. Before we get going, I wanted to say how much I appreciate the help coming from all the volunteers who have placed these cameras just right, a couple of cameras for 2 different kinds of broadcasts, and got the microphone levels just right, 2 different kinds of microphones, so that we can talk to the folks who are here in front of us. I'm glad you all made it. COVID is back, not as severely, but it's back, and yet you're here faithfully. We appreciate that. And also the folks who are listening in. Our translator is sitting at home in the Gold Coast of Queensland, Australia. Our software engineers are there also in Queensland, making it possible for folks to listen in on Chinese who cannot get YouTube. So we have multiple hands and hearts putting this lecture on the road. If you're looking at the screen here above or on your computer screen, if you're looking on Zoom or YouTube, you're looking at a picture of a man who is 118 years old at the time of the photo. And notice how he sits, pretty straight. This is a man who has what I call tough bones. This is our teacher's teacher, our grand teacher, Master Empty Cloud. It says, 虚云老和尚118断寿什么全什么字 at age 118, sitting there just as straight as an arrow, and holding his beads, because he was a Chan master, but he also recited the Buddha's name. Many people are not aware. So this is, in China, they call him the Manzong Tai Dao. He is the pole star, the North Star. Polaris is the star that the other stars revolve around. If you've ever looked at photographs of astronomy, there's one star that you do a time lapse, point your camera up and just say, shoot, and it time lapses. The stars make trails around one spot in the center. That's called Polaris, the pole star. Currently, it's in Sagittarius, and it moves. Over time, that particular star moves, but it is the center. You can find it tonight if there was no cloud cover. Master Empty Cloud was the pole star of Chinese Buddhism for 200 years. He was the one who, around which things moved. And one of the announcements that I'll make now before we get going is that if you would like to know more, pretty much everything that is known about Master Empty Cloud, please make time on, on Friday afternoons. Here if you're in North America, it's Friday afternoon at 1 p.m. We are looking into Master Empty Cloud's picture biography, which is a book compiled by our teacher, Master Xuanhua, who is here. Shifu took Master Empty Cloud's autobiography and pulled 200 stories from it, commissioned an artist in Hong Kong to draw an illustration for each story. Master Hua then summarized the event and wrote a verse for each one. And we're telling those stories. Oh boy, what fun to have the story waiting for you to bring to life. So there's the story, there's the painting, the etching, and it's a line drawing actually. And then there's the verse as well. We're doing pretty much, looks like we'll be doing 2 stories per week. So that's there. And I just noticed, I was just out on our YouTube channel, Dharma Realm Live. And if you go, oh, there I am, drive. Oh, I can't do that. All right. If you go out to Dharma Realm Live, looks like somebody has already posted a new playlist for last week's lecture, 2 days ago. Yesterday, as a matter of fact. So this is our second lecture in the series for Master Empty Cloud's picture biography. So please do take a look. It is rewarding to have this incredible monk's story there for us to appreciate and be inspired by. Mighty good. All right, just to let you know that that's out there. So again, how do you find it? YouTube. If you would like to be there in person, actually we have the person who's I won't point to her, she'd be embarrassed. Our hardworking corresponding secretary who makes that series available to everybody is sitting here with us tonight. So if you want to be included here, we've actually broken the code. We now know how to find it. For a long time we were just guessing. So you go to 6th Patriarch Sutra. Is that correct? 6th Patriarch Sutra at gmail.com. Correct? Shema? Okay. 6th Patriarch Sutra gmail.com. Send an email to that address. There we go. Yes. .com. 6patriarchsutra.com. Send an email, say, please include me, and every week you'll get a reminder email in your inbox. And the link for the Zoom call. You can watch it on Zoom, which is really pleasant. So that's how you get included on the list for the lecture series on Master Empty Clouds. Okay, so we want people to be invited. That way we don't have unexpected guests. We did 4 or 5 months ago. Somebody Zoom bombed in, and we had that experience. So if you'd like to be there, 合法化, as they say, legally and invited, email 6 Patriarch Sutra. Every week you will get an invitation in your email box, and we'll see you online. If you can't make it at 1 p.m. on Friday, tune in on YouTube after, all right? And that series is also translated into Chinese and Vietnamese. You can listen with a fluent Mandarin translation and also a Vietnamese translation. So once again, gratitude to the translators whose efforts put that show on the road. Okay, Avatamsaka Sutra time. Let's review. Last week we did something kind of special. We hadn't ever done that before. Reciting a big, long passage of text in 2 languages, one in Chinese, one in English. Remember, and it sounded so good to have everybody 异口同音 in unison, different mouths but with a single sound, reciting the name of 101 Buddhist samadhis. And each one was just more wonderful than the last. And we said this mysterious thing at the end, that all of those samadhis, they're like programs on a hard drive waiting for you on your computer, or like apps on your phone waiting for you to tap them. They're inside, in our nature, waiting for us to bring them up. When we do, there they are, and they start to function. Now, somebody asked last week, because I was talking about samadhis that Master Hua explained, which are 1st, 2nd, 3rd, and 4th dhyana, right? 初禅, 二禅, 三禅, 四禅. Shifu explained those and said how anybody can 入定, can experience those samadhis and how blissful they are. They're wonderful experiences. They're very joyful. Someone said, are they the same as those famous samadhis that have names that we hear about, like the Shurangama Samadhi, and like the Ocean Imprint Samadhi, and like the Vairochana's Nature Samadhi? Yes, they are. It's the same idea of our bodies, our minds, our spirits shift gears. They kind of go from rum, 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 like that, and then now you're down the highway, like that. And when that happens, things emerge. Things come out of our nature that were latent, they were there, they were waiting, and now they can. What's it like? If you've ever been in the presence of a medical emergency, you ever been somewhere where somebody like enters a grand mal seizure or something like that, and they're moving on the floor and maybe frothing at the mouth, and most folks without training don't know what to do. It's like, oh, we panic, right? Someone who is trained goes, oh, let's put something between their mouth so they don't bite their tongue, let's loosen their collar, turn their head to the side so they don't choke, and cover them and be calm and call 911. When somebody knows what to do, where did that come from? Oh, it was just inside. How come that person knew to say? They're trained. That's a licensed practical nurse. That's a registered nurse. That's a doctor, right? This person, that person, this one doesn't know. That one knows. Why? Trained. They were able to boot that up. Someone who can enter samadhi is the same. You don't know how to do it? Well, you calm your body and mind. And we said last week, samadhi is step 2. Step 1 is the shila. Samadhi is a Sanskrit word. Shila is a Sanskrit word. It means character, how you behave when you're not meditating. That's what tells you how quickly you can ru san mei, ru ding. If you have that ability, you're like the nurse who knows what to do when someone's sick. Ah, I know what to do. Up comes these abilities, and tonight we get to hear what comes out of those samadhis, right? So 101 samadhis last week. We ran through the names of all of them. Tonight, the Buddha, and I want to say, give you a refresher on where we are in our chapter. Okay, we're in chapter 39, which is called Ru Fa Jie Pin, the chapter called Entering the Dharma Realm, or merging, or becoming one with the Dharma realm. In this chapter, famous part is a pilgrim comes out and goes to 53 teachers, 53 spiritual friends, asks each one of them, how do I cultivate? How do I practice like a bodhisattva? That's the question he asks. And he gets a question back. Each one of the teachers says, Probably not in that funky voice, right? Probably it's very, something like that, something more, gravitas. So they say, good man, have you made the Bodhi resolve? And he says, yes, I have. Already I've done that long ago, but I want to know, how do you cultivate the Bodhisattva path? How do you practice the practices of Bodhisattvas? And he says, good, I'm so glad. Let's start. I'll teach you right now. And just like somebody who shows up to learn Kung Fu, like somebody who shows up to learn yoga or computer programming, or maybe you're taking a refresher typing course at the local high school, night school. I did that before I entered my graduate program. The teacher says, let's start. And that knowledge flows, right? Everybody's seen The Matrix, right? Keanu Reeves sits down in the chair, and they go through the floppy disks and shove it in, and he goes, I know Kung Fu. Just like that, right? Suddenly this knowledge comes out. That's what's going on. The student learns from 53 teachers. He learns Kung Fu. But what he learns are all of these wonderful functions of a bodhisattva. Tonight we get to hear what he learns in his study with 53 teachers. That's what our chapter is about. Okay, we're almost at the end of the preliminaries. We're still not in the actual heart of the chapter. What is the big change? So I'll step back. First of all, the word goes out that the Buddha is going to finish his teaching of the Avatamsaka Sutra. When people get that word, they're excited. Wow, that's good news. They all come to the Jada Grove. Who am I talking about? Bodhisattvas, devas, gods, dragons, yakshas, kinnaras, garudas, maharagas, the Tianlong Babu, they all show up. And mostly the sutra focuses on the bodhisattvas who come from the north, south, east, west, intermediate directions above and below. They all arrive. When they arrive one by one, they make offerings. The sutra tells us what they brought. One by one, they come down in front, just like we saw Ming Chi do, and they Qingfa. They request the Dharma. They praise the Buddha. They praise the Dharma. They praise the Sangha. They talk about how good wisdom is, how wonderful is prajna paramita. As we've explained, the things they praise are really different. There's a whole variety of things that they sing about, kind of spoken word poetry. After that, the next thing that happens is kind of weird, unexpected. The sutra tells us that right there in the assembly are a number of living beings who are missing the show. There's living beings who aren't capable of hearing the teachings. They don't know what the Buddha is doing. They can't see they say, shan bian, his spiritual transformations. So, okay, so it is. Truth, that also happened in the Lotus Sutra. We haven't really explained the Lotus Sutra much, except for chapter 25, the Pumanpian. But in the Lotus Sutra, 500 disciples stand up and walk out. They're not happy with the Buddha's teaching. So, okay, something similar happens in the Avatamsaka. And the sutra says they couldn't hear because their hearts couldn't hold the vows of a bodhisattva. They were focused on their own benefit, mostly. They wanted to get enlightened now, never mind others. So that's enough to disqualify them from hearing the whole story of what's going on. Okay, but it says there were in that assembly bodhisattvas who could hear it all. The Buddha enters one samadhi. He meditates to this place called the charging lion samadhi. Funny. Shizi Pinshan Sammei. When he enters that samadhi, all these other samadhis emerge from it. And we heard 101. That's what we did last week. Okay, tonight, when these bodhisattvas engage in these samadhis, we get to hear what they can do. I was previewing tonight's text and just marveling. I don't want to prejudice your hearing of it. I want you to hear it without my giving you my view of it first. Let's do that. Let's do it that way. Okay? I want you to hear it fresh. You have your choice of languages. Are we ready? I'll give you a line, you give it back. 菩萨以如是等，不可说，佛刹微尘数三昧，入毗卢遮那如来，念念充满，一切法界，三昧神变海。Together, want to read it? Let's read it together. the bodhisattvas with all those inexpressibly many samadhis, numerous as the dust particles in Buddha Kshetras, enter the oceans of spiritual transformations of Vairochana, thus come one, which in every thought are filled with all the samadhis of the Dharma realm. Okay, Vairochana, thus come one. Vairochana is a Buddha. He's the one who, when you see his image, he's teaching like this. This is his mudra. He is primarily the speaker of the Avatamsaka, along with Rochana Buddha and Shakyamuni Buddha. So we won't talk about that tonight. He has oceans of spiritual transformations. That means he can do amazing things. All of these bodhisattvas waiting for the Buddha to start teaching also can match Vairochana's psychic powers. That's what they can do now. And it says, what are those samadhis like? They're full of samadhis. So let's put that in other language, decode that. So imagine if you had multiple PhDs. So somebody they ask you about, you're an MD, you're a doctor of medicine. You passed your exams, you've done your internship, you've done your residency, now you're learning a specialty. So people come to you and they call you Dr. So-and-so, but what are they asking about? They're asking about literature, a field over here, completely unrelated to medicine, and you can speak about literature because why? You speak 6 languages and memorize poetry, and you know everything about Shakespeare, and your primary specialty is medicine, but you're also a literary specialist. It's that kind of thing. Doors open into doors. You're not limited by knowledge. Knowledge is open to you and opens and opens and opens and opens, like that. Which in every thought are filled with the samadhis of the Dharma realm. Let's go right down to, okay, from here, from this part of the sutra, we have what's called boilerplate. We have a repeating pattern. It's they have, they understand, they travel, they contemplate, they enter, they teach. This entire section is telling us what happens to a bodhisattva when you ru sanme, when you master these samadhis. Okay? And each statement is telling us about the quality of a bodhisattva. Okay. We can. Okay. We'll go all the way down there. Since last week we had fun reciting together. We're all good at it now. So let's do that. Let's do it. Instead of my giving you a sentence, we'll do it together. Let's make it a little bigger here. Okay, are we ready? We're going to start with Qi Zhu Pusa. Ready? Palms together, everybody. Here we go. Qi Zhu Pusa, Jie Shi Ju Zu, Da Zhi Shen Tong, Ming Li Zi Zai, Zhu Yu Zhu Di, Yi Guang Da Zhi, 普观一切，从诸智慧众性而生，一切智智常现在前，得力痴意，清净智言，为诸众生作调于师，诸佛平等，于一切法。 无有分别，了达境界，知住世间，性皆寂灭，无有益处，普于一切诸佛国度， 而无所着，悉能观察一切诸法而无所住，遍入一切妙法宫殿而无所来，教化调伏一切世间，普为众生现安稳处。Good. Excellent. Okay, let these, now, last week we learned that we can recite together. And what I hear, everybody is listening for the pauses. That's excellent. Looking at the punctuation, stopping and taking a breath when we see it, that's an important step. But there's another wonderful part of reciting together, which is to let the words into your mind as you let them come out of your mouth. To kind of, the image that I like is swimming. We swim in the water of wisdom of the Avatamsaka. Let it flow along. Why do we say it that way? What we want to do is put our critical mind to rest. The mind that is wondering, how well am I reciting? Is my voice too loud? She's really irritating. I wish she would be more quiet. You know, that kind of mind that is there so busy. We want to just let that one rest and recite along so that we're not necessarily thinking about these words, we're absorbing. Think of them like vitamins for our wisdom that we're absorbing into our minds just by the act of reciting along. Okay, so if we can get to that place as we recite, we have taken one step into the recitation of the Avatamsaka. For comparison's sake, what many people do in the Buddhist tradition in East Asia, they don't read the Avatamsaka, they just recite the Avatamsaka. And how do they recite it? And this is not critical. It's much better than nothing, but they recite it like this. 七诸菩萨皆悉具足大智神通明理自在主义如地光大智普光一切从智或智中心而生一切智智现前在现. And that's, as I say, better than nothing, right? At least it's there in the air and it's tremendous. But to be able to go, all these bodhisattvas are replete with great wisdom and spiritual powers. They're bright, astute, and at ease. To be able to hear it in English without that bum, 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 which is a function of Chinese's monosyllabic quality. But because English is an inflected language, not a tonal language, so we have to breathe. And the rhythm that comes with the reading is the rhythm of the breath, not the rhythm of the wooden fish, which is kind of oppressive in a way, because you have to keep up, right? And okay, you get through the whole thing, we all do it, 100, 200 people can do it all together with the wooden fish, that's all good. But having it in English gives us a different kind of advantage, which is we breathe together. And there's a pause while you inhale, and during that pause, we bring it in. We swim through the waters of the Vairochana's wisdom ocean. Puru, Pilu, Jana, Zhihui Hai. Okay, so with that in mind, let us begin and see if we can't let the critical mind take a break and let the swimming, the flowing mind come forward. Ready? Okay, let's do it together. Here we go. All those bodhisattvas are replete with great wisdom and spiritual powers. They are bright, astute, and at ease. They dwell on the various bodhisattva stages, and with their vast wisdom, they contemplate all things everywhere. Born from the lineage of omniscience, the wisdom of omniscience constantly appears before them. They have attained the pure eye of wisdom that is free from the cataract of stupidity and act as a trainer for all beings. They dwell in the Buddha's equanimity and are impartial towards all dharmas. They understand states and know that the nature of the world is still and quiescent and relies on nothing. They travel to all Buddha's countries and yet are free of attachments. They can contemplate all dharmas and yet they linger nowhere. They enter the palaces where the wonderful Dharma is spoken, and yet they come from nowhere. They teach, transform, and subdue beings in the world, and in all places display a safe and tranquil refuge for beings. Okay, take a pause. All right. Look at all these verbs, right? Did you notice? They are replete, they dwell, they're born from, they have attained, they abide, they understand, they travel, they contemplate, they enter, they teach, and display. All of these things that bodhisattvas do. So what I get from all those verbs is, being a bodhisattva, you have to work. Bodhisattvas probably wear running shoes. They don't wear, the monks' arhat shoes. Those keep coming off your feet. Lohan xie, they're not, I won't complain about monks' clothes. Don't worry about that. There's only 2 of us in the room who could complain about that anyway. So. I noticed most of the nuns at CTDB have switched to like Reeboks and Adidas, because they're running all day long. Just those the old style keep falling. We need to modernize so we can keep up with the work of bodhisattvas. Look at all the activity that they do. And the one that I picked out to talk about is right here. 为助众生做调于师. In Chinese, literally word for word. On behalf of living beings, they serve as a taming up teacher. 调 is what you do to a string, right? So now I'm going to put it out of tune by doing this, but you go like this. Uh-oh, out of tune. In tune. Thank you. 调. So you have to tune it up. We have to be tuned up. Who can do it? A bodhisattva, or a kalyana mitra, a shanzhishi, a good and wise advisor. That's what Sudana was looking for. So, yu means what you do to a horse. You tame a horse. Some people say break a horse, but these days horses are less broken. They're more kind of, you establish a relationship with the horse. You listen to the horse. That's kind of the new style. You don't force the horse to follow you. Coming from horse whisperers, right? So act as a trainer for all beings. That sounds kind of funny. What it means is, one, there's a variety, as many different expedient ways to teach as there are living beings' natures. Here's an example. What does it mean to be a tuner-upper of living beings? So Master Hua would tell us, he would say that you can be mostly for when we go wrong in cultivation is we go too far or we don't go enough. We overshoot the mark or we fall short. So to tune our cultivation up, it just means we get to the middle way. The middle way. Now, one example of going too far, you decide, okay, I'm going to be a pure vegetarian. I'm not going to eat eggs because I hear that in our tradition, eggs are bad. Eggs, right? Well, okay. Eggs are bad. Why? Because 1 out of 300 eggs may have a chick in it. When was the last time, well, I know you don't eat eggs. So when is the last time you cracked an egg and found a live chick inside? These days it doesn't happen. It used to happen. And because if you did, you were going to kill a baby chicken. That's why people, that's the thought behind why eggs are off the list. Mostly, the reason that eggs should be off our diets is because they're bad for you. They have so much cholesterol, right? You know about the head of the Iguandao. Iguandao is vegetarian. We'd known that. That's always good. You fly on EVA Airlines and you have really good vegetarian food. Iguandao says eggs are fine. And so the head of Iguandao had quadruple bypass surgery because he ate so many eggs, his heart just choked right up. So eggs are not healthy for us because of what they do to the body. You can't digest. It's bad for the chick if you force chickens to lay so many eggs that they tire out before they reach 2 years old. The conditions that, because people love eggs, so what happens to chickens is just cruel and awful and terrible. It's one of the worst things that people can do to animals, force hens to lay eggs. So our description of being a vegetarian is we want to reduce our consumption of eggs. Don't eat eggs. Occasionally you kill a chick in the egg, etc. That's the middle way. It's compassionate to not eat eggs. It's better for our bodies. Let chickens live, right? People need tuning up as soon as they translate that understanding of eggs into reading labels. Do we have any label readers here who go, "Oh, Fasher, they offered this bread. Look, it has egg yolks. You can't eat this, Fasher." And they grab the bread off the counter. "I saved you, Fasher, from kaizai," from breaking vegetarian eating principles. And you go, "Thank you. Thank you for ruining lunch." Somebody made an offering of bread because they read the label. "Look, there's eggs in this." All right? Label readers, man, pain in the neck. Relax around eggs in baked goods, please. We don't eat eggs, but if there happens to be a trace element of eggs in a label, don't relabel. Now, if you think there's garlic in the tomato sauce, read the label. If there's garlic powder, but we will know that with the first bite, even with the smell. So you need tuning up if you are so pure that you absolutely have to read every label and show off how pure you are by saving the monks from eating things. It's like, you get the point? That's too much. Carelessly eating eggs or, saying, "Oh, it doesn't matter," scrambling up some eggs, that's not enough. Too much is forcing purity. Kitchen police. No kitchen police, okay? Why? We are trying our best to be kind. We're trying our best to end harm. If we can do that, we've got the point. End harm. Where is harm done mostly every day in our world? In the kitchen. Why? We kill living beings and eat their bodies. We turn our bodies into graveyards for the flesh of living beings. That's harm. That's billions killed every day in the cruelest way. That's harm. Okay, so if we can avoid that and eat plant-based diet, and of course, anybody who brings out the plant pathology argument, carrots scream when you pull them out of the ground. Yeah. Everything has a life, and that's why we eat it, because it has life force in it. But carrots scream less than the chicken whose neck you break in order to provide, chicken pot pie. So, yeah, that's the point. So we try to live in the middle. Cultivation is already ni liu. When we cultivate the way, we're going against the flow already. As soon as you have a single thought, you know what? I think I should probably take profanity out of my vocabulary. I think I should never use the F-bomb. I think I should probably remove all four-letter words from my vocabulary, especially when I'm talking to the people I live closest with. My parents, my siblings, my boss, my employees. I'm going to do that. I'm just not going to go along with Hollywood. Not going to go along with TV. Man, have you watched? I don't watch TV, but the vocabulary of shows, it's like, where did that come from? Well, when somebody scolds you with the F-bomb, it burns in the ear. Get the fuck out of my way. Son of a bitch. You hear that pointed at you, it's like, ooh. It's not pleasant to hear. Why would I do that to somebody else? Of the 10 evil deeds, 4 are done with the mouth, and 1 is called ukou, harsh speech. When you hear it, it burns. It burns the ear, it burns the heart. So, going against the flow, ni liu, just say, nah, I'm going to pull that out of my mouth. I wouldn't say it to maybe you do say it to your mom, that's worse. I wouldn't say it to my mom. I wouldn't want my mom to hear me talking that way, so I won't say those words. If my mom couldn't hear it, it's probably better that I didn't say it. There's so many choices of words that you can use to make your point if you want to impress somebody about how your opinion, right? Say those things with other words. Just pull the profanity out. That's what I'm saying. Immediately when we cultivate, we're ni liu. We're going against the flow. So just say, that's good. That's good. I'm going towards the Shishan, the 10 wholesome deeds, by removing the 10 evil deeds, the 10 mistakes that you can make with body, mouth, and mind. That's cultivation. You know where it leads you if you do that a lot? In the heavens. Shifu would say, how do you get reborn as a god or a goddess in the heavens? Feng xing shi shan hu chi wu jie. Cultivate the 5 precepts and avoid the 10 evil deeds. Make them 10 good deeds. There you go. Who can see those things? Nobody sees them. You don't show them off. Your nature gets all the benefit of going against the flow. So, the Tiao Yu Shi, remember, we were back with our acts as a trainer for all beings. The real good teacher always brings us back to the middle. When we go too far, he says, relax. When you aren't vigorous enough, he says, let's get to work. Go against the flow. Use strength. You have to exert to not go to Reno for the Christmas party with the company. Of course, after COVID, we haven't been going to Reno, have we? Right? No? Somebody goes, oh, no, actually, it was Las Vegas. Oh, okay, well, that's better. That's good. Yeah, no, we haven't. And to not go means what? You miss all the fun. You might not be popular in the office if you don't sign up for the Christmas trip to Reno. But, yeah, what do we say? You 吃亏, you take a loss, but you also 占便宜. You also get a benefit in the long run. So that's what the teacher does, is he brings you to the middle. The 调于师, right? 为众生做调于师. How amazing that 调于, to tune up, to get it back to where it's like, that's so nice to hear when it just all blends. It's like a single note. Vibrating together. Yeah, that's tuned. And it sure sounds good when it's tuned. So, what's it like in real life? So at one point, it's no secret, anybody who has read the journals of a bowing pilgrimage, knows that I struggle with food a lot. And I made all kinds of vows at various points in my pilgrimage. Cut out dairy, no dairy products. And so that was, going to be a vegan. This is before the word vegan had even emerged. I was out with dairy. Then it was no sugar. Ooh, that was tough. Anything that's offered that's sweet, I wouldn't eat it. But I would watch Marty as he ate it. He gets all the good stuff. And hadn't put it down at all. And was noticing every bite, every cookie, every donut. So then at one point, and the more I was trying to cut out desire for food, the more uptight I got. And at one point, I decided, you know what? I'm going to cut out oil and salt. I'm going to eat only plain food, no spices, no oil, no salt. If it has spices and flavors, I won't eat it. And I'll show you how pure I am. Now, that sounds to me like label reading, right? Proving how pure I am by what I can keep you from eating. If I can make you really unhappy, I must be pure, you know. So the word went out that Heng Shui is no longer eating salt and oil. And the poor lay people who would like cook at 4 a.m. and jump in the car and try to find us 100 miles away somewhere on the highway to be in time before 11 o'clock to make an offering, they would put the food down there and I would go, I can't eat that. Of course, I wasn't talking. So it was like, oh no. Well, how do we cook? How do we feed the monks? Well, you know, so okay. So they're not going to argue because I was cultivating, making everybody miserable in the process, right? We don't eat meat, we don't eat fish, we don't eat eggs. I wasn't eating dairy. We don't eat onions, we don't eat garlic. No sugar, no dairy, and now no seasoning. So, and was I happy? No, I was not. Just something as simple as, you know, baozi, cai bao. Couldn't eat cai baozi because there was, you know, there was oil in the stuffing. So we got back to Gold Wheel for one weekend. Every now and then Master Hua would come down to Los Angeles and the word would go out to us somewhere on the highway that Shifu was going to be at Gold Wheel. And a car would drive down and find us somewhere on Big Sur, and we would mark our place on the highway, lock the car, and park it in a garage somewhere, or a gas station, and then ride down to LA and listen to Shifu's Dharma talks for 2 days, bowing outside before and after the talks, and then come in and listen to the lectures. So we were at Gold Wheel, and I was there not eating any seasoned food, 油盐, 不吃油盐菜, right? Not eating any seasoned food. And so we arrived, and it was after lunch, and we arrived late, so we were worried, was there any food at all? So we got there, it was already like 1:30, 2 o'clock or something. And we went into the kitchen, and there was some leftovers, but it was all seasoned food, naturally, normal, vegetarian, healthy, delicious veggie food. And I couldn't eat it, you know. And so I was like, oh well, I'll just cultivate, you know, just sending out bad vibes, you know, unhappy. You know, and everybody's like, oh no, well, the kitchen shut down. We don't have any more, you know, the donors had gone. So what do we do? And so I was sitting there meditating while Marty was like, what am I going to do? I'll just eat the food, you know, I'll eat his, you know. So then I was sitting there, and a layman came down and set a tray in front of me. And here was rice, vegetables, and bread without eggs, and fruit, and steamed veggies, no oil, no salt. And it was set in front of me. And the layman says, Shifu says he's not eating today. You can have his lunch. And I looked at the tray. Shifu had ordered a lunch with no oil and no salt for himself, and he wasn't eating. He sent it to me instead. And I'm like, Amitofo. How do I respond? Should I eat my teacher's lunch so he doesn't have food, so that I can be pure? What do I do? So essentially, he also sent me a mirror to look at my own face. Like, maybe you are going a little too far. So I ate that lunch and felt awful and wonderful at the same time. Because how did he know? First of all, and then how did he not? He ordered no oil, no salt, and then didn't eat it, so that I would get there late. And and I thought, oh my goodness. 为助众生所调于事. This is how a good teacher actually teaches living beings. And after that, and by eating that lunch, that meant Shifu went hungry that day. That's the other part. It's like, okay, that's real strength. And that's real kindness, compassion. He would rather suffer hunger than have me not have food on that day. So after that, I kind of let it be known that I was going to eat normal. It was okay. Normal meaning no meat, no fish, no onions, no garlic, no sugar, no dairy, no alcohol, no cigarettes, no tobacco. Yeah, so they obtain the pure eye of wisdom, free from the cataract of stupidity, and they act as a trainer for all beings. That's probably an okay, act as a taming and guiding master. That's what we used to say. Trainer is probably pretty good. Okay, here we go. Ready? Let's do this part. Starting right here. Ready? Here we go. 智慧解脱为其所行，恒以至身，伫离谈寂，超诸有海，是真实际，智光圆满，普见诸法，住于三昧，坚固不动，与诸众生恒起大悲. Ready? Together? Gaining liberation via wisdom is their practice. They abide at all times in their wisdom bodies, completely free of greed. They leave the ocean of existence and teach about ultimate reality. Their light of wisdom is brought to perfection. They see all dharmas and dwell in samadhi, stable and unmoving. They always treat beings with great compassion. So they always treat beings with great compassion. The Chinese was 与诸众生恒起大悲. So if you had to decode, we probably saying 慈悲, we probably hear that word a lot. Oh, we had a donor, somebody donated some vegan gelato this week. And she said, this is a flavor from a shop in the mission, and it's passion fruit. And I said, ooh, we as monks can't eat that. We can eat compassion fruit. So, 百香果, 慈悲果. Okay, so compassion fruit. So, and it's delicious, by the way. So we use these words a lot, but what does it mean to always treat living beings with great compassion? So essentially, there's a teaching. We just had the end of the Parliament of World Religions in Chicago just this last weekend, and this year we didn't attend. But there's a group who takes part in Interfaith every year. They're I think they're in Seattle. And they have created the Golden Rule poster. Anybody have seen the Golden Rule poster from various parliaments and URI? Okay, the Golden Rule poster is an interfaith group that went out into all the world's faith traditions and found how every different group teaches the Golden Rule. In Chinese, what is the Golden Rule? 黄金规矩 or something. 黄金定法. Do we know? Golden Rule? Anybody know? So there's a name for it in Chinese. You know what it is? It's 己所不欲，勿施于人. Right? Confucius is the one who flips it on its head. What you don't want done to you, do not do to others. The Golden Rule in almost every other tradition says, do unto others as you want done to yourself. Does anybody know what that is in Chinese? Anybody? If Yihuan were online, Yihuan would have it in an instant. Okay, so the Golden Rule. Jerry, do you know? You can. Who's online? You can look it up for me. There we go. Okay, if I were to whip out my phone now and type it into Google, you'd wonder. So the Golden Rule. The Golden Rule is common to every culture. Everybody knows the Golden Rule. So there's two ways to say it. The positive way is, do unto others as you want people to do to you. The negative way to say it, from the flip side, not to say negative bad, but to say from the flip side is, if you don't want it done to you, don't do it to others. Confucius said it that way. 己所不欲，勿施于人. So the Golden Rule is based on karma, cause and effect. What you send out, you receive. And if you think about that, what that implies is we're connected. We're connected. It's a loop, right? And that action brings results. There's real wisdom in the Golden Rule because it's based on those fundamental principles. We're connected, and action brings results. Things have consequences. So if you are kind to people, people will be kind to you because there's no separation. We're linked. And that fundamental observation is probably the first thing that we forget when we act with greed or hatred or stupidity, that we're connected. And the bodhisattva, for someone who has broken down the ironclad shell of the self on your heart, if you can break through that sense of I am here alone by myself, I'm out to get what I got coming to me, get out of my way. When you break through that sense of self, you see the connection. You understand that we're really connected because you see it. It's not a theory. It's not a principle. It's your reality is that we're really connected. And there are lots and lots of ways to approach it. For example, you can say, my body has hard parts, warm parts, liquid parts, and spaces in between. Blood cells and skin pores and holes in the eye that allow the light to come through, and the ears and all. We have earth, air, fire, and water, 4 elements. True for me, true for you, true for, start counting with your parents, your grandparents, your great-grandparents, your great-great, go all the way back as far as you can, true for them too. Then you go beyond the human species, true for every kookaburra, true for every wallaby, true for every bear, black bear. Just, it's true, totally true, that we're all made up of bodies that have earth, air, fire, and water as their components. The Buddha saw that and called it the rupa skanda, the si yun, the form body. He said, yeah, we're all made up of earth, air, fire, and water. We recycle when we die. The earth goes back to the earth, the water goes back to vapor, the heat dissipates, and the air goes back to air. And then we reincorporate, we come back. So that's, the Bodhisattva sees that as the reality and asks herself, why did I think we were different and separate? The only thing separating us is what we do in those bodies, the karma that we create, the words we say, the thoughts we think. That's what separates us. So if we can cultivate back to that place of fundamental identity, we identify with the elements. We say, tong ti, da bei, same body, great compassion. We are unified in our bodies. Now, if only it were so simple, right? I'm just explaining a principle. But there is something inside those bodies that is actually different. And that goes by many names. We call it the Zhongyin Shen, the intermediate skanda body. We call it the soul. We call it the spirit. We call it nature. We call it, the Holy Ghost, the Great Spirit, Native American tradition. So that thing is inside, and it's invisible, but it's what travels on from body to body. So in that way, there can be differences, but by golly, when you see they always treat beings with great compassion, why? It hurts to do anything different. Hurt somebody else, you hurt yourself. Because why? 己所不欲，勿施于人. What you don't like done to yourself, don't do to others, because we're connected. The Bodhisattva sees that and lives that way, puts that vision into practice. Boy, if we could do that, there would be no political parties. We wouldn't spend a penny to benefit ourselves, because that's fundamentally just not true. There is no self-benefit. There are no self-made people. That's a story. We are all other-made. We are made by our mothers and our fathers. That's two already. So, and we're raised by a village, by a culture. So, why don't we live that way? Because of greed and desire and anger and delusion that thinks we're separate. The Buddha says, yep, that's in there too. So cultivation is the practice of choosing wisely, of letting the greed go, sharing what we have instead. Okay, they always treat beings with great compassion. Wow, what a challenge. So here's a way to begin putting that into practice. If you agree with me, if you agree with the sutra that says, in fact, we are related. Somebody says, yeah, I'm not a bodhisattva though. Here's how you can start. By golly, here's how we can start. It goes, I need to get my thumb pick out of my pocket here. What did I do with my thumb pick? Okay, it's here somewhere. My body's not a graveyard for the flesh of living beings, not complicit in the slaughter of the stockyard. May I spice my food with not oil and salt, but generosity. Yo yen. May my table be a blessing for the world. When we do that, the beings with fins, the fish, say, thank you. The beings with feathers say, thank you. The beings with fur say, thank you. Thank you for the gift of life. Let's heal the universe with every bite. The Bodhisattva path can start right at the dinner table, at the breakfast table, at the lunch counter. Till I extend my compassion to every being, I will not find peace of mind. Teaching a child not to step on a snail saves the snail, and it also saves the child, because we're connected. The beings that fly say thank you. The beings that swim say thank you. The beings that crawl say thank you. Thank you for the gift of life, which is just not killing them, to eat them. Let's heal the universe with every bite. If the world's factory farms had walls made of glass, the whole world would be vegetarian. Beyond the slaughterhouse comes the battlefield. We order steak and go to war again. Because why? Connected. When I don't eat your brother, my life extends. When you don't kill my neighbor, we discover we are kin. War or peace, check your dinner plate. There suffering grows. Here suffering ends. And the footless beings say thank you. The four-footed beings say thank you. The many-footed beings say thank you. Thank you for the gift of life. Let's heal the universe with every bite. So don't ask, can they reason like Descartes? What an evil man. But can they feel pain? Yes, they can. Don't kill them. In suffering, they and we are one. I call animals my neighbors and my friends, and every mother loves her son. From the bottom of my heart, I say thank you. To every living being, I say thank you. To those who came before, I say thank you. Thank you for the gift of life. Let's heal the universe with every bite. Let the whole universe rejoice. Okay? So, this is people say, oh, I'm not a bodhisattva. This sutra is too abstract. It's too philosophical. Well, pin it down. Find the middle way. My body's not a graveyard for the flesh of living things, not complicit in the slaughter of the stockyard. May I spice my food with generosity. May my table be a blessing for the world. You go, and the beings with fins say, thank you. The beings with feathers say, thank you. And the beings with fur say, thank you. Thank you for the gift of life. Let's heal the universe with every bite. Simple, right? Easy. Till I extend my compassion to every being, I will not find peace of mind. Teaching a child not to step on a snail saves that snail and also saves the child. Together, and the beings that fly say, thank you. And the beings that swim say, thank you. The beings that crawl say, thank you. Thank you for the gift of life. Let's heal the universe with every bite. If the world's factory farms had walls made of glass, the whole world would be vegetarian. Beyond the slaughterhouse comes the battlefield. We order steak and go to war again. When I don't eat your brother, my life extends. When you don't kill my neighbor, we discover we are kin. War or peace, check your dinner plate. There suffering grows, here suffering ends. And the footless beings say, move the computer so we can read the words, thank you. The four-footed beings say, thank you. And the many-footed beings say, thank you. Thank you for the gift of life. Let's heal the universe with every bite. Don't ask, can they reason, but can they feel the pain? In suffering, they and we are one. I call animals my neighbors and my friends, and every mother loves her son. Last chance, from the bottom of my heart, I say thank you. To every living being, I say thank you. To those who came before, I say thank you. Thank you for the gift of life. Let's heal the universe with every bite, and let the whole universe rejoice. Alrighty, here we go. Indeed. I wish bedsource.com had continued. Now, I promised that we had a bunch of stuff to share with everybody, and we do. For example, coming right up, there is a... Oh, that's the old one. Well, we'll use the old one for now. There's a concert coming up next Sunday. The Berkeley Buddhist Summer Song Circle, an evening of Dharma music. Sunday, 27th, 7 p.m., right here. Myself, Alan Sanaki, Betsy Eve Decker, and James Barras, all old, aging folkies who strum their guitars and sing loudly Buddhist songs. The funny part is, here in Berkeley, we include Eve Decker, we include Kevin Griffin, we include Melanie DeMoore, all people who grew up in the 60s singing folk songs are now singing Buddhist songs, still out there strumming their guitars. So we have done this twice before. This is number 3, Berkeley Buddhist End of Summer Song Cycle. So please come, and we would be happy if people would come and volunteer. Jinwei Shi, Jin Chuan Shi will be coordinating the event. We hope Cherry and Locke and Jason will be helping us. Homero is also coming to maybe videograph, maybe record, get the mic set up. On the stage, we'll have 5 folk singers singing. Each of us will do 3 songs, and I don't know what I'm going to be singing. But that's coming up next Sunday. Now, Ulambana is also coming up, and people were wondering, where are the Ulambana tables? We wanted to make offerings. The Ulambana tables will be going out after the concert because we can't have that giant space in the center with so many people coming. We expect there'll be a big crowd that night because after COVID, we haven't had events, so now people are really happy to come back together. We will put the Ulambana tables out on Monday on the 28th after the concert. The actual day is next week, actually. So starting tomorrow night, I will be at City of 10,000 Buddhas talking about Ulambana. The following Sunday is the actual Ulambana. We'll be doing the concert. So that concert will be webcast as CTTB's Sunday lecture. So we'll be tying, I know. We'll be tying, CTTB doesn't acknowledge music, but we'll kind of bring them into the fold next week. So that's happening. Also, remind everybody once again about our Master Empty Cloud lecture series. Here it is. 虚脑和尚化转. That happens at 1 p.m. Friday afternoons. Now, if you're listening in China and Taiwan, Hong Kong, Singapore, Malaysia, I'm sorry, I apologize. It's 3 a.m. In Australia, it's 6 a.m. So it should be 4 a.m. It's 4 a.m. in Taiwan, 2 hours different. So it's early enough in Australia. It's Now, my other announcement is that on the 3rd of September, I said the 5th, no, it's the 3rd of September, I'm going back to Australia. I will be away as long as it takes to get my invitation to become a citizen of the fair island of Australia. We don't know whether they will extend that invitation. We're hoping they will. And I have to be there for my interview, so I'm going back. And the next time you see me, if all is well, I will be holding 2 passports. I'll be a dual citizen. So able to travel back and forth to teach Dharma. So that's the plan. But you will see me on certainly online. The lectures will all continue. Okay, we had our blood drive. People heard about that. We collected 42 pints of blood, which had the potential to save 130 some lives, I think. So, yeah, that was a wonderful event. Jinwei Shi, what other announcements do we have?
I can add, Rebecca Shi mentioned that tomorrow we are going to Ukiah, and Rebecca Shi is invited as a guest for Kalyana tea. It's 3:30 at Sudana Center. Those who wish to be there, for those online who are listening us, definitely it's a good opportunity to hear some stories and songs and so forth. And at 7:30, Rebecca Shi will give a lecture at City of 10,000 Buddhas Buddha Hall.
Yep.
So because of that, we will not stream tomorrow evening ceremony. 6:30. Tomorrow we cancel. We continue on Monday and other days. In the morning we have, without any changes, morning ceremony as always, 4 a.m. If we don't have any problems with internet, what sometimes happen. Fortunately not that often. Rebecca Shi mentioned about the concert, and we need a little bit support. So those of you who want to help with maybe security, and also we want to have a table to welcome all the guests, so we can speak to me after this lecture would be great, so I can share all the details. And I think this is it.
Okay, thank you. So part of the concert is having folks sign in to mailing lists for the artists. Betsy Rose is a constant presence in the Bay Area singing. She has a mailing list to tell you where she will be singing. She sings all over, in BART stations and on civic plazas and concerts as well. She has numerous musical CDs that she would be happy to sell you to. And Eve Decker is a composer and a recording artist of great talent and experience. She has CDs. Alan Sanaki is the head of the Zen Center of Berkeley. He has music CDs and merchandise and such. So we need a table in the back and numerous somebodies to take care of that. There are lots of people who will be wandering around, wondering what this place is all about. And if you can greet them and be friendly and answer their questions and also watch as they discover their way, we'd be very happy to have you on security. There will be parking questions. We'll tune on our air purifiers. We'll have masks available if people choose to mask. So all of the above. We'll need many hands. Jinwei Shi will be happy to talk to you tonight if you'd like to volunteer to make that concert the fun and memorable event that it has been in the past. For some reason, Berkeley, California has all these folk singers who are now Buddhists. And the music that comes from this stage is quite marvelous. There's a book called the Lotus Sutra that you really ought to know about. It's a magic book that has the power to remove all fear and doubt. You all know that one? We'll get Alan to sing that.
Maybe I add one thing. Dharma, you mentioned our Ulambana ceremony. So we plan to do the ceremony on September 3rd, Sunday in the morning. We give you more detail. Probably will be 10 a.m., I guess, with no lunch, but we will recite the Sutra and do the Ulambana ceremony, normal ceremony here at the Buddha Hall. So you can join us.
We'll be talking about Ulambana Dharmas. That's one of our best stories. So, okay, I think that is all for tonight. And let's practice the way bodhisattvas do and dedicate merit. However you would like to send out the merit and virtue of coming together to hear the Dharma, seeing old friends, my goodness. This is a chance to give goodness to the world. Here we go. May every living being, our minds as one and radiant with light, share the fruits of peace with hearts of goodness, luminous and bright. If people hear and see how hands and hearts can find giving unity, may our minds awake to great compassion, wisdom, and to joy. May kindness find reward, may all who sorrow leave their grief and pain. May this boundless light dispel the darkness of our endless night. Because our hearts are one, this world of pain turns into paradise. May all become compassionate and wise. May all become compassionate and wise. We can bow to the Buddhas in just a moment. Here we go, right from where you're sitting, we can do 3 half bows. Bow in respect to the Venerable Master. Oh, I just had a thought. If you just look around, our Buddha Hall is nearly full tonight, and if everybody comes to our concert, we're going to have a full house. If we could include in the getting ready, cleaning out the balcony, because there will be people sitting in the balcony as well. So we'll need volunteers we have to supervise that because there are lots of books in boxes and things up there. So we're going to, it's going to be a full house on next Sunday. So let's make as many seats available as possible. We'll be using all our chairs in the back here, of which there are roughly 100, 90 some. So, okay, good night all. Amitofo.
So, we have one announcement about the cleaning the balcony. If you come on Saturday, like p.m., for instance, 2 p.m. is okay if people can come. With the whole group, we can do very fast. Okay? Saturday.